Top 10 Crazy Conspiracy Theories Surrounding the Chinese Coronavirus, the Wuhan Flu, Chinese Coronavirus, COVID-19 virus, or simply coronavirus as some prefer to call it, needs no introduction. It is the latest nuisance we all have to deal with. The virus first appeared in China and in less than 2 months, has spread to every continent in the world. It has killed over 4,000 people so far and another 113,000 people are confirmed to be infected. Most people agree that the virus first appeared in a seafood market in Wuhan, China. It appears, however, that some conspiracy theorists do not believe this story. They say it is just another sham story someone made up to cover up the true origin of the virus. Number 10. The United States government. There are bits of gossip that the United States government made the Chinese coronavirus. This case was first made by the Russian news arranged Channel 1. During a live news communicate, a news moderator said the U.S. government made the infection to obliterate China's economy. He included that the U.S. may have additionally made it so they could offer antibodies to the Chinese government. Together his case with respect to the way that crown implies crown in Russian and Latin. As we as a whole know, President Trump used to be an appointed authority on excellent shows and was here and there responsible for delegated the victor. The moderator said this was the explanation. The infection was named after crowns. In the interim, researchers state they named the infection after its crown-like shape. Number 9. Bill Gates. If you are struggling to understand how Bill Gates fits into all these, we will need to go back to October 2019. That month, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation collaborated with the World Economic Forum and the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security to test how well we were prepared to deal with an epidemic. In a curious twist of fate, the COVID-19 virus showed up 2 months later. Conspiracy theorists say the program was a prelude to the upcoming epidemic, which all three organizations had planned all along. Meanwhile, the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security has denied any link between the event and the COVID-19 epidemic. Number 8. 5G Internet. Wuhan was one of the principal Chinese urban communities to get 5G web. It is a similar city where the COVID-19 infection initially showed up. Is that a happenstance? Dana Ashley says it is not. Ashley accepts the COVID-19 infection is brought about by radiation waves discharged by 5G web. She put together her cases with respect to a 2-decade-old research paper that uncovered 5G was hazardous to human well-being. Ashley says the supposed coronavirus is really radiation harming. She says it debilitates the insusceptible framework, leaving an individual helpless against diseases. People on the opposite side of the fence say Ashley is simply one more connivance scholar. They state the 2000 investigation she cited was undermined by a recent report that demonstrated 5G was not perilous to people. They likewise called attention to the way that Wuhan was only one of the 16 Chinese urban areas that got 5G web simultaneously. Number 7. The Chinese government. A few people trust China made the COVID-19 infection as a major aspect of its organic weapon program. They state the infection later spilled from a lab, causing the epidemic, the lab being referred to as the National Biosafety Laboratory. It is the main Chinese government-claimed office fit for leading examination into lethal infections. It is a piece of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is situated in Wuhan. In the event that you review, Wuhan is a similar city where the pestilence broke out. These claims emerged over an announcement President Xi Jinping made just after the plague broke out. He said the security of labs was a national issue. The next day, The Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology discharged guidelines on the most proficient method to tie down labs to forestall the departure of infections. Trick scholars back up their cases with the way that infections have prior spilled from Chinese labs. The lethal severe acute respiratory syndrome (SARS) infection got away from twice. Number 6. The Canadian government. A few people except the Canadian government drove by social investigations instructor Justin Trudeau imagined made the COVID-19 infection at the National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg, Canada. The lab is a Canadian government-claimed office that behaviors examination into destructive infections, much the same as the one in Wuhan, China. Conspiracy scholars state 2 Chinese covert operatives took the infection and sent it to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where it wound up causing the plague. The covert agents being referred to are Dr. Keding Cheng and his better half Dr. Xiangguo Chu. The couple worked at the lab until they were out of nowhere laid off in 2019. Conspiracy scholars said the team were terminated for taking examples of the infection and sending it to China. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police said they were ousted over approach and authoritative issues. Who is coming clean? Number 5. The October 2019 meteorite explosion. Something mind-boggling occurred in Upper East China in the early long periods of October 11, 2019. A shooting star detonated in the sky soon after 12 p.m., causing an extraordinary blaze that made the night sky as brilliant as day. Conspiracy scholars have now hopped on that episode. They state the shooting star brought the COVID-19 infection from space. Scientists state this is improbable since the meteor didn't arrive on the ground. Regardless of whether it did, they don't figure the infection could have endured the outrageous temperature of the arrival. Meteors that don't wreck in the environment can reach up to 1,198 degrees Fahrenheit when they contact the ground. That is all that could possibly be needed to kill the infection a few times over. Infectious maladies master, Dr. Dominic Sparks, included that the COVID-19 infection in all probability began here on Earth since it imparts a great deal in like manner to severe acute respiratory syndrome (SARS) and the Middle East respiratory syndrome (MERS). All 3 infections have a place with a gathering of infections called coronaviruses. We know SARS and MERS started here on Earth, however COVID-19. The truth will surface eventually. Number 4. A Chinese woman eating bat soup. There are hypotheses that people got the COVID-19 infection from bats, while researchers are yet to confirm this case. A few people trust it spread to people after somebody chomped down on a tainted bat. That somebody is Chinese travel blogger Wang Mengyun. Mengyun turned into a survivor of a fear-inspired notion after a video of her eating a bat circulated around the web. She was blamed for getting the infection and spreading it to other people. Mengyun was later constrained by the Communist Chinese government to apologize for eating the bat. She included that the video was shot in 2016, 3 years before the COVID-19 infection showed up. It was not shot in China, however, in Palau, an island country in the Pacific Ocean. Number 3. Some unknown person or group created it from HIV. Not all fear-inspired notions have a name nailed to them, like this one proposed by a gathering of Indian scientists. The scientists state the COVID-19 infection bears some similarity to the HIV-1 infection. They said this was sufficient proof to demonstrate that somebody had changed HIV to make this new virus. They distributed the paper on bioarchive, a site for look into papers anticipating audit. The specialists didn't make reference to names, so we don't have the foggiest idea about the individuals. Dependable. The paper caused a discussion, making the analysts pull back it. Number 2. Corona Beer Crown Extra is a brand of lager blended in Mexico. It is inconsequential to the coronavirus and doesn't cause or spread it. The lager got its name from the Spanish and Latin word for crown. The infection was named for its crown-like shape. Corona Extra has been enduring a naming emergency since the scourge broke out. While nobody has really guaranteed it causes or spreads the infection, apparently individuals as of now medical attendant such convictions. Google has been overwhelmed with looks for crown lager infection, brew infection, and brew coronavirus since January. The piece of the pie of Corona Extra has really become by the organization. Good for them. During the 1980s, an eating regimen candy called AIDS endured a half-drop in deals after individuals thought it caused AIDS. Number 1. Samuel Hyde. Samuel Hyde is a celebrated entertainer and comic. A few people, be that as it may, might suspect he ought to likewise be popular for beginning the coronavirus pandemic. This case is accepted to be a piece of a running joke of accusing Hyde for each shocking episode that happens in the United States.